My name is Alice and I'm 26 years old. I'm married to my husband, Rob, who is 4 years older than me. We fell in love at the office where he was my superior in the sales department. He pursued me with unwavering determination. At the time, I was only 24 and felt that marriage was too soon, but he was incredibly passionate, saying things like, "Please just become my wife for now. We can figure out the rest together. I'll make you absolutely happy. No other man in the world wants to make you happier than I do." In the end, his fervor won me over, and I saw in him a man who would take care of me for life. So I decided to accept his proposal. A year after he began courting me, we got married. Now we're celebrating our first year of marital bliss. Since it was a workplace romance, it felt a bit awkward, so I decided to change jobs. I ended up taking a part-time job at a bakery. "That's a good idea," Rob said. "You can also take some cooking classes and enjoy a leisurely life." The truth is, his family is quite affluent. Incredibly, his father bought us an apartment when we got married. I feel a bit guilty about it. "It's okay," Rob reassured me. "Let's take advantage of what our parents can provide. All you have to do is be a good daughter and daughter-in-law." I guess I've done my best to be a good daughter-in-law, like visiting my in-laws with gifts. We're just happy that a beautiful girl like Alice has become our daughter-in-law. They said. "That's right," Rob's mother added. "He's a bit of a handful, isn't he? Please take good care of him." "Sure," I replied. They are very kind-hearted in-laws. Of course, my parents are also pleased with this marriage. They warmly welcomed Rob, who is well-educated and on a fast track in his career. "When are you planning on having children?" my mother asked. "It's easier if you start raising them early." "Well, we're thinking about it. It's better to have them sooner rather than later. Raising kids requires a lot of energy." "Well, it's not like I want to go out and party anymore. I guess I'll try to be a good mom." It's nice to be able to talk so candidly with my own mother. I started thinking that it might be better to have children sooner rather than later. In this way, everyone in our family was blessing our marriage, except one person, my older sister, Susan. Susan is not happy about our marriage. She's 6 years older than me at 32. She has been a white-collar worker for 14 years since graduating high school, but has never had a boyfriend. She has always seen me as her adversary since we were little, and it was always a bit scary. I have memories of my sister bullying me ever since I was a toddler. Even as I grew up and became aware of her animosity, her bullying was insidious. She would tear up my notebooks and hide my pencil case, petty pranks that really irked me. The worst was when she took my diary. I kept it hidden in my desk. She would show it to our parents and laugh. Though I wasn't writing anything strange, it was still very discomforting. It seemed she didn't like that our parents were fond of me. Another deciding factor was our looks. To put it modestly, I was born with a well-arranged face that took the best features from both my parents. My sister, on the other hand, didn't look anything like me. She had a plain face, curly hair, and impure skin. It seemed she had a complex about her looks, but I was at a loss about what to do with her antagonistic feelings toward me. Even though I was cute, I wasn't at the level of a model or an actress, just an ordinary level of attractiveness. I always thought that instead of being jealous and mean to me, she should have been trying to make herself prettier. However, she seemed to be feeling her complex deep inside. After graduating from high school, she started working right away and saved up money. Just before turning 20, she underwent plastic surgery. At the time, I was only 14, and I was shocked to see my sister come home with a blue bruise on her face. I thought she had been violently assaulted, but apparently she had undergone surgery on her eyes, nose, lips, and entire facial contour all at once. After a while, when the swelling and bruises subsided, my sister looked like a different person. She still had the look of someone who had plastic surgery, but she was prettier than before. Above all, I thought it was okay as long as she was satisfied. At that time, I believed that since her face had become beautiful, her heart should also become a little more beautiful. Even though we were not very close as sisters, I hoped this change would improve our relationship. When I announced that I was getting married, my sister made a sarcastic remark. "Oh, you're already getting married. Aren't you a fool for selling yourself short?" Once again, I realized that we would never get along. After my wedding, it seemed she had undergone more plastic surgery. Her skin was unnaturally shiny, and her eyes appeared even more double-lidded. Only she knew whether she felt improved or not. Despite our strained relationship, my sister started visiting my house frequently, sometimes even staying over. "Sis, what's up? What's wrong?" I asked. "Because you got married first, Mom has been nagging me about finding a partner. I'm just waiting for the right one." "I see, so it's uncomfortable at home because of me, and now you want to stay here." She even brought her personal belongings with her. It was too forceful and annoying, but I couldn't just kick her out. I assumed she wouldn't visit often since she didn't like me much, but she started coming over at least once a week, sometimes even 2 or 3 times a week. It was becoming a real nuisance. We began having strange living patterns, like having dinner with my husband and her, and drinking together. When she brought alcohol at night, I wasn't having much fun, and her presence creeped me out. For some reason, my husband Rob didn't seem to mind and always welcomed her. I finally asked him, "Hey, aren't you bothered when my sister comes over?" "Nah, not at all. She's great, always bringing little gifts and stuff. The other day, when she stayed over, we even went to the train station together. She's really something, isn't she? And boy, she's quite the looker from the side profile. She's had work done, you know. She never brings me any gifts." So many things didn't add up, but seeing him so chummy with her, I couldn't say a word. I tried giving off that "please don't come over anymore" vibe, but my sister didn't catch on. Days went on like this until one day my husband dropped a bombshell. "Listen, I'm sorry. I'm leaving you, Alice. Susan is pregnant." I couldn't believe my ears. "Say what?" "It's a long story," Rob said, "but I just met with her. She's already 10 weeks along. She even showed me the ultrasound picture." My head was spinning. Ultrasounds out of the blue. I couldn't wrap my head around what was happening. What the heck is going on? Just as I was about to give my husband a piece of my mind, the doorbell rang. My sister was standing at the entrance of our apartment building. I buzzed her in and invited her inside. It was about time I got an explanation for all this madness. "Oh, Alice," Susan said as she entered, "I know this isn't ideal, but you'll still congratulate me, right?" She pulled out an ultrasound picture from her wallet with a smug look on her face. "Are you out of your mind?" I snapped. "Out of my mind or not, you should face reality. Rob is the father. We've been in love, you see." My husband looked uncomfortable, but his affections were clearly now with my sister. "I'm sorry, Alice, but you're still young. You can start over. Now that things are this way with Susan, I got to step up to the plate and make her happy. No man alive wants to make her happier than I do," he said, echoing the same line he used when he proposed to me. It seemed he was completely drunk on himself and his forbidden affair, blinded by my sister's pregnancy. "Stupid man," I screamed inside my head. My sister was still wearing that smug look on her face. She walked into the room and stood next to my husband like she owned the place. "Rob, let's get on with it," she said. "You know your sister will do the right thing and step aside for her big sis." So many emotions were welling up inside me. My sister had always been the sneaky kind, doing all sorts of nasty things behind my back. This, however, was the ultimate betrayal. When she heard I was getting married, she laughed it off, and now, to add insult to injury, she's taken my husband. At that moment, my feelings for my despicable sister and the man standing next to her turned ice cold. But I thought to myself, I'm not going to let them have their way. There's no way I'm getting divorced. No way, no how. Over my dead body. What? My husband exclaimed. Why not? What about the baby your sister is carrying? I couldn't care less. The very idea of you two being involved makes my skin crawl. So he had been seeing her and had the nerve to come and hang out in my room, and the three of us had been breaking bread together. I was beginning to think he was doing it just to tick me off more than anything. I didn't budge an inch. I won't give you what you want. I don't love him anymore, so he's all yours, but no divorce. Go ahead and have your little love child. Excuse me, my sister shot back. You say that to your own sister. You're one to talk, doing this to your own sister. Just pack up and leave. This apartment was bought by Rob's parents, so I have a right to stay. I don't know what planet you're on. You're just the other woman who happens to be pregnant with my husband's child. I'm the one legally married to him. There's no way I'm leaving. Do you talk back to me? My sister screamed, her face red with anger. Maybe she thought she'd win if she got pregnant. Well, she's got another thing coming. I glared at her. If you keep pushing, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. Seeing me stand up to her for the first time, my sister looked a bit shaken and said, Fine. Anyway, Rob will be mine. Keep on struggling. It's pathetic. She stormed off. What a piece of work. I made up my mind not to consider her my sister anymore. Ignoring my husband, I went to the bedroom. He mumbled something outside the door, but I pretended not to hear him and continued giving him the cold shoulder until he gave up and slept on the couch. The next day, I took action. I went to my in-laws to spill the beans, figuring I needed to make the first move before Rob did anything. They were shocked and apologized for their son's behavior. That darn fool. No way in heck are we accepting this. That woman's outrageous, too. Oh, sorry, she's your sister, Alice. No, I decided to cut ties with her. I can't believe she's pregnant with my husband's child. Exactly. We're on your side, Alice. Let us know if you need a lawyer. Thank you. I don't plan to divorce him for the time being. There's no need to give them what they want. Is that okay with you? Absolutely. We're here to clean up our stupid son's mess. I thanked them and left. Next, I went to my parents. I thought my sister might have talked to them, but it seems she didn't have the guts to tell them yet. What? What on earth is she thinking? Gives me a headache. What are you going to do now? You should come back home. No need to be with that man. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I decided to leave the apartment and go back to my folks. There was no way I was living with that man. He was probably sneaking around with my sister and treating me like a third wheel. I thought to myself that I should play my cards right. My sister didn't come back to our parents when she realized I wasn't returning to the apartment. We essentially swapped houses, but I guess it's fair to say I came out on top for now. I managed to move my stuff out of the condo with the help of my parents, and it seems my sister moved in as soon as I moved out. When I reported this to my in-laws, they were livid. No way are we okay with this. And who do you think put up the money? They went ahead and changed the name on the deed and just sold the condo. I had to chuckle when I heard about it. My sister and her now husband looked none too pleased as they moved out and rented an apartment. As for me, my husband kept begging me with tears in his eyes, saying, Please agree to the divorce. We have a baby on the way. Do you want to make your sister a single mom? I was adamant. I won't agree to a divorce. That's final. I didn't budge. He threatened legal action, but I said, Go ahead, make my day. To ensure he didn't file for divorce behind my back, I put in a request to reject any divorce papers. If the other woman had been a stranger, maybe I wouldn't have been so stubborn, but since it was my sister, I knew they would flaunt the baby to my in-laws and parents, making it impossible to sever ties like you can with strangers. I endured a wicked woman who thought everything would be fine as long as she had a child. I knew I wouldn't move on and find someone else just like that, so I planned to drag this out as long as possible without officially splitting. Then I decided to make a triumphant return to the same workplace as my husband. I reached out to our mutual boss, explained everything, and got my job back. Tough break, but you're still young. You'll bounce back, my colleague said, cheering me on. Since I'd blowed to everyone at work about what my husband did, he got the cold shoulder from everyone. Dude, that's messed up, getting your sister-in-law pregnant. That's some next-level creepiness, they said, and he ended up quitting because everyone was giving him the stink eye. Serves him right. 9 months later, my sister had her baby. Neither set of parents acknowledged her giving birth. My good-for-nothing husband, who painted himself into a corner, told me about it. It's a boy, he said. Oh, really? Given all the plastic surgery she's had, I bet he doesn't look like her, huh? I replied with a bit of sass. Wait, what plastic surgery? What do you mean? He asked, but I just said, who knows, and hung up. Turns out my sister, let's call her Susan, ended up having Rob's child without marrying him. They're living together now, but at the end of the day, they're just two unrelated people. She's not even really a common-law wife. It's pathetic that two grown-ups who can't get their parents' blessing are living together and having a kid. What's more, he can't find a job. My sister, who's got a nasty streak, is apparently complaining non-stop because things aren't going her way, and he's so frazzled he can't get hired anywhere. My sister quit her job when she had the baby, and now the two of them are living by draining their savings. But even if they manage to live somewhat normally, cold stares from both sets of parents await them, along with a life where they are whispered about behind their backs by society. I wonder if my sister really liked that husband of hers. Did she do all this just to get at me? If so, I think she's kind of pitiful. We're estranged now, so it doesn't matter to me anyway. As for me, I am finally thinking of giving my good-for-nothing husband the boot. I'm going to go through a lawyer to make sure to claim my alimony, and I think it's time for me to get ready for the next chapter in my life. I'm glad I didn't just hand over the role of being his wife when he was over the moon. If I had done that, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. This past year has been really tough, but I'm going to forget all that and move forward.